If you've heard me speak on anything in the past, this one's going to be quite a bit different than previously. I always have like the mindset of I have a tough time listening to like motivational speakers when people are just like, just go do better and do a cold plunge and then go work really hard and just grind and then you'll make it. And so I tend to stray away from that and do like very tactical stuff like go do X, Y, Z and it'll give you this end result. So I felt inspired and challenged to do something a little bit different just because of the audience today specifically. But I'm going to try and do both things. I'm going to try and not only both inspire you and kind of push you forward and help you kind of remove blockages and barriers in front of you, but I also want to give you something tactical that you guys can actually take and then implement into your business and implement into your life immediately. So it's going to have kind of a weird flow and it might not make sense at the beginning, but at the end, it'll relatively all tie together. And if it doesn't, well, at least you can take the both things separately. So just to give a little bit of an introduction of myself, I have been in the business world actually probably for like 3.5, 4 years. So it hasn't been that long. I actually came from the nonprofit world, lived in South America for 7 years, did different nonprofits, things like that. And then during COVID, when COVID hit, I had to actually leave South America because of everything that was going on. And then I was in the US, and while I was bored and had nothing to do, that's kind of when I started like looking into business. So that's when I got started. I started my first agency then. Now I have 4 different companies. I have 3 agencies. I have one agency that I'm in the process of exiting. That's an Amazon agency. I have an SEO agency that does SEO for e-com brands. We're the biggest SEO agency for e-com brands in the US. And then I have I have an info product for agency owners. So pretty much any agency owner that makes at least like 10K a month. It's just a community where I kind of share my insights and have some coaches and stuff inside there. Not one of my main focuses. My main focus is my last agency, which is called Dominus. And Dominus is works with high ticket businesses. So coaches, info products, other agencies, financial services like debt resolution, tax resolution, things like that. We have clients like Ty Lopez, Colin Yersison, some of the biggest creators and agencies in the space. And that's one of the main things that I focus on. So that's kind of some of my background. Rather than what I've been able to accomplish, I like to say what I've been able to accomplish for people. So we actually do around 11 million in revenue a month for our clients. So that's one of the big things that we've been able to accomplish. And that's one of the things that we like to emphasize is how much money we're able to make through people through our service. So I'm stoked for this talk today because it's going to give you a lot of my thought process on life in general, but then also my thought process through working with different clients and what we do to build offers, what we do to research our clients, what we do to research people that we're going to work with, et cetera. But I want it to be a little bit more interactive since it's kind of a small group. So if I call on you, don't feel out of it. But one of the things that I want to talk about today is like, what do you want? And what do I mean by this question? This could be something personally. This could be something financially. This could be something with your business. It could be something on any realm in the world. So if anyone has something, what do you guys want? And I'm just going to call on someone. Go ahead. What do you want?
To be the best version of myself that I can possibly be.
What do you want?
Freedom.
Anyone else?
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind. What else do you guys want?
A Porsche.
You want a Porsche? That's a want.
Lifestyle?
Lifestyle?
Yeah.
What kind of lifestyle? Because you can have a poor lifestyle.
No.
You can have a good lifestyle.
I would say wealthy.
A wealthy lifestyle?
Yeah.
What do you want?
Be a role model?
You want to be a role model? What do you want?
Money and time, location for you.
What do you want?
Respect.
Sorry?
Respect.
Respect? Very cool. So those are all important things that we want, right? And those are all things that when we wake up, that is what we try and dive towards every single day. Those are the things that we're thinking about. Those are the things that we're processing. These are the things that I want. I want a Porsche. I want to be wealthy. I want to be, I want to be respected by people. I want to be an influence to people. So my next challenge to you is how long have you been stuck feeling this way? an emphasis on the word stuck. But how long have you been feeling this and not been able to accomplish it? Not been able to get to the point where you feel like you've been able to get to it? Because I'm sure you've accomplished goals. I'm sure you've accomplished things that you've wanted. You wanted to, hit 100K with your brand. You wanted to get your first client. You wanted to join a community of men, and you've accomplished them, right? But the current things that you're feeling as your wants, how long have you been stuck with them for? How long have you been stuck with that? Feeling the desire to be an influence to people?
I think it's getting there. It's just I want to be wrong once more. So yeah, a lot.
How long for you? Like actual time?
Yeah, not that long. Only about 6 months.
6 months?
Like 2-3 years.
3 years?
2 to 3 months.
2 to 3 months? What about for you? How long has it been?
Since I was a teenager.
Yeah? How long have you wanted a Porsche?
6 months probably.
Right? So all of this time, not in a negative manner, but it's time where you've been stuck feeling that way because you haven't been able to accomplish it, right? Because if you had what you wanted, then you wouldn't want it anymore. Does that make sense? So all of that time, not to do it in a negative manner, because obviously we want to be positive, but it's all time of being stuck in that mentality of wanting something. And there's hundreds of things that can make us feel stuck in that. There's hundreds of things that can keep us and barriers that can keep us from even being able to accomplish those things. So my next question, what's it costing you to remain stuck exactly where you are? What's it costing you?
Time and money.
Time and money? What else does it cost you?
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind?
Staying present.
Sorry?
Staying present.
Staying present?
Freedom.
Freedom?
Opportunities.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of you want to be married, have a wife and kids, right? That's going to be a want or is a want. So what's it costing you now not having that yet? Because like for me, for example, I wanted to get to a certain point before I got married, maturity-wise, financial-wise, before I was like, okay, now I'm ready to start dating someone. And all of that cost me time. I didn't get married until I was 30, which nowadays it's pretty common. If you ask our parents, probably they'd say we need to get married when we're 20. But it cost me time, right? 10 years of my life, or whatever you want to call it, right? So there's a lot of things that cost you that you can't get back, right? Like that time, I can't get back. Your freedom, you can't get back. That money, you can't get back because it already passed. It already happened. So think on these things as we continue in this. Now, this is a tough question. And this is really more for, I'm going to ask you guys again, but think about it in yourself. Think about it in your own mind. And I'm asking these questions so that you guys begin, as this is the first kind of talk of this event, so you guys can begin to start and self-reflect, right? And so it's a tough question. Who told you that it needs to take this long, right? Like with all respect, James said like, hey, nobody does it in 6 months. There are some people though, right? Someone could do it in 6 months. If they got lucky, right? If they picked the right vehicle and pushed on it very hard, very quickly, it's absolutely possible, right? So who's the person that told you that it needs to take since you were a child, that told you that it needs to take 6 months, that told you that it needs to take up a couple years? And you don't need to answer this out loud, obviously, but think about it. Like, who's the person that convinced you of that? Is it someone that you listen to online? Is it someone that you follow the influence of and like, oh, they did it in 3 years, I got plenty of time? And there's also the opposite perspective. Who told you it needs to be quicker than what they're saying? What if it's meant to be longer for you? Because everyone's experience is different, right? For me, I didn't start business until I was like 27, right? Most of you guys are younger than that now, and you've already started. Or you started when you were teenagers, you started when you were in high school, right? For me, it was the perfect time. even though people told me I should have started when I was in high school. But it's also the opposite, right? I also could have thought, well, I should have done it sooner because I wasted all that time because of that place that I was stuck in from what I wanted. And I ask all these questions once again because I want you guys to start reflecting on these things because these are important questions. Because oftentimes we just do as entrepreneurs, right? That's all we do. I'm just going to grind. I'm going to lock in. I'm going to grind. You know what I mean? But there's more to life than that, obviously, that needs to be assessed, that needs to be realized. And there's more questions that are important to have. Even if your mission's good, even if your mission is to influence people, even if your mission is to, I want a nice car. Those are good things, right? Nothing's bad about that. There's nothing inherently bad about wanting to make a lot of money, right? So it's just about evaluating the perspective of who is it that told me that this is the path that I need to take, that's the one that's right for me, and how long it should take for me to get there. Because in the end, your path is going to be different than mine, and his path is going to be different than yours. Because that's just how life works. So now diving a little bit into more, I want to use this story from John 5. It's about this story of a man that was sitting by a pool, and it was called the Pool of Bethesda. And kind of like the backstory of it, I'm not here to preach to you guys, just using it as a story as an example. The backstory of it is this pool was used to heal people that had kind of ailments, whether they're blind, paralyzed, whatever it was. So people would crowd around this pool at a certain point of the year, and they would try and the reasoning behind it is there's an angel that would mix it up, and then in the morning you were able to jump in and you'd be healed, right, from whatever you had, whatever ailment. So these people would hang around this pool to try and achieve this healing, to try and be able to relieve this pain that they were in, right? And so imagine this man was lying by this pool for 38 years, right? Now we're talking about our time. We're talking about, man, I've been stuck for 6 months. Man, I've been stuck for 2 years. Imagine being stuck for 38 years and being like absolutely helpless, at least as it appears, right? Right? And us stuck right now, stuck in the things that we're feeling, it appears almost sometimes to be helpless. Like sometimes we're just grinding our wheels in circles. Like we can say like, hey, I'm getting there though, I'm accomplishing it. But some days you wake up and you're like, man, I'm just grinding my gears and getting nowhere. Like I'm just working these 8-hour, 10-hour, sometimes 12-hour days, and I'm getting absolutely nowhere. So imagine day after day, year after year, waiting for something or someone to change the situation. Because that's what you even think sometimes too. Like, man, if I just had the right employee on my team. You know what I mean? If I just had the perfect client, if I just had the perfect acquisition channel that would get me the amount of clients that I needed, if I could just solve these ads, if I could just have the right closer that would close at the percentage that I wanted them to, then I would actually make it, right? And this man put every excuse on the planet to stay stuck, right? Then Jesus arrives, and he asks him one powerful question. And it's the same question I'm going to ask you guys today. Do you want to be healed? Do you want to be unstuck? Do you want to get to that goal? Because you told me you wanted it, right? But wanting is one thing. Actually doing it is an entirely different thing, right? So do you want to be healed was the question. The man said, I have no one to put me into the pool. Excuse. I have no one to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up, and while I'm going another step down, someone cuts in front of me. How many times have we felt that way? That someone cut in front of us, that, man, how the heck did that guy do it so quickly? You know what I mean? I have people in my agency community that they're like, man, I've been grinding at this for like 3 years and I'm still at $25K a month. You know what I mean? Man, I've been doing this for so long and I still haven't been able to get to that body fat percentage that I wanted to. Man, I've been doing this for so long. I've been doing all this networking. I've been hiring. I've been going to all these masterminds and I still haven't met the right people for my business. But the question was, do you want to be healed? The question was, why haven't you been? That wasn't the question. The question wasn't, well, what was the reasons that you haven't been able to get yourself unstuck? The question was, do you want it? And that's why I asked you guys that same question, because if you want it, if it's a deep desire in your soul, if it's a deep desire in your heart, then this is irrelevant. Doesn't matter who is in your way. Doesn't matter how many times you've tried. And then Jesus said to him, I don't know why that's in quotes. Well, I guess it's in quotes, yeah. Jesus said to him, get up, take up your bed, and walk. How many of these feelings look familiar to you guys? Don't be embarrassed, just tell me which one it is. And I'll read them for the people that can't see them in the back. Fake it till you make it. Do I take on this client and I know it's not a good fit just for the money? Even when I know I can't get them results, even when I see their business, I'm like, oh, that's too screwed up. I can't do anything with that. But I need the retainer to grow my business. I'm pulled in every direction trying to scale and deliver at the same exact time. I constantly feel like a failure. I hit 20K per month immediately, but then got stuck there. Slow months are 10 to 15. Nothing I do seems to move the needle. I felt like a fraud every day, selling a just average and often rubbish service, pawning myself off as an expert. Now, these are deep thoughts inside, right? I have more stress, depression, and anxiety now than when I worked a normal job. I'm broke and I'm going to lose everything again, but I can't tell my girlfriend or she'll leave me, so I just keep telling myself I was fine and that it's all going to work out. How many of you guys have felt these things? You don't have to say which one, just how many of you have felt them? Show of hands. Right, we all feel it. And we all feel it, and the reason why is these are direct quotes of people that have said these statements anonymously. And they're not just direct quotes of people that have said them once or twice. These are the most common things that entrepreneurs say online. Because everyone, in some way or another, doesn't matter your scale, everyone feels stuck. They feel like there's a barrier. They feel like there's something in their path that's inhibiting them from getting to that level to what they want, to be healed, if you will. And I'll give you guys these slides too so you can have them later. So what fears need to die for you to finally move forward? Because we can call them excuses, we can call them whatever we want, but in the end they're fears, right? Because they're things that we dread, they're things that we don't want to happen, they're things that we want to happen, but things that are in our way to actually make us stuck are fears. That's what they are. I fear not being able to hire the right person. I fear not being able to scale my business. I fear not being able to buy that Porsche that I wanted. I fear not being able to be an influence for people. I fear not being wealthy. They're all fears. So whether it's faking success, feeling like an imposter, depression, or constantly being overwhelmed in every direction, there's an underlying fear that is holding you back today. Fear of failure or looking foolish, fear of losing everything you've built, fear of rejection or judgment from those closest to you, fear that you aren't good enough to reach the next level. And I say these things because these are things that everyone feels. Doesn't matter if you're Jeff Bezos or just starting off your business. Because there's levels to the game, but the insecurities, the fears, they're always there. But it's just about whether or not you can overcome them. So go ahead to the next one. Okay, so let's get a little personal. And the reason I say this is because I've been picking on you guys for a long time, so I want to tell you a little bit about my own story. Because then you guys maybe will be able to relate to it, or at least see that it's normal, right? That it's normal to actually have these fears and have these barriers in front of you, and that there is a possibility to actually overcome them. Like I said, my My background is nothing inside the entrepreneurial world. It's all in like, I studied nonprofits, I've worked in nonprofits my whole life, I studied the Bible my whole life, like nothing within this world that I'm in. And the fear that I always had was that, starting too late, right? Because that's a reality of what even a lot of people that start at like 23, they're like, man, I wish I started when I was 18. I was like, I was 27. Like, you have 4 years on me. And I was in an entrepreneur group like this. And I was like, every single person in this group is younger than me, and I am just starting. So there was that fear that I had. There was the fear of failure, right? Because my family was watching me. All my friends were watching me, especially the ones that I had kind of pushed aside because I wanted to be with a group that would push me forward. They were all watching me. But then more than anything, I had that fear inside of me of like, I'm not going to measure up to the people that I'm watching. You know what I mean? Like all these people that I'm watching that tell me that I need to get to this place, that tell me this is how long it takes because that's how long it took them. Like, oh, I scaled to $1 million in a year. It's like, great. That's great. So am I not measuring up to this person because I didn't do it in a year, because I did it in a year and a half? You know what I mean? So there are all those things that happen within yourself that make you feel stuck. And then that's not even the personal side of things, right? That's just the professional side of things. So if you've heard kind of any of my podcasts or anything, I always tell on my story that I had a huge past with like drugs and with drug addiction, and I have a really obsessive personality. So, and I have wild ADHD, so it's not a great combination. So I get addicted to things very, very quickly and very, very easily. It's one of the reasons that I try not to touch any alcohol, obviously no drugs or anything like that, because if I know that if I do it, I'm just going to take it over the edge. But then that also applies to business, right? I would get very, very addicted to business and very, very addicted to scaling things. But at the same time, with like the ADHD, I'd work on 7 businesses at the same time. That's why I have to have 3, because I can't really focus on one, right? And so one of the things that I realized, or one of the things that kind of changed a lot in me, was realizing that every single one of you guys is different. And that's one of the things that I want you guys to be able to evaluate in yourselves, because even though people are telling you that it needs to be one thing, every single one of you guys is different. And your path, the way you should do things, is all different as well. And the huge problem that I have with social media nowadays is that everyone is kind of, and I don't know if it's like on purpose, but like everyone's kind of pushing towards the same direction of like, this is how you need to be, this is how your life needs to be, this is what you need to do, and then if you do that, you'll get to it. And they're all kind of like in the same message. Like if you listen to Hormozy, he'll be like, just grind your face off and scale your business as much as you can. And then the next guy, just grind your face off and just scale your business as much as you can. And that was one of the things for me that didn't entirely make sense, because that's not all I wanted to do. Like it was one of my goals. It was one of the things that I wanted, but I also wanted to get married. I also wanted a foundation. I also wanted to influence people. I also wanted to accomplish different things that were outside of that. And that is one of the biggest like fights that I had in my interior that my wife helped me a lot with, was like, it's not always all about business either. There are other things outside of that are okay to want. And so I had to overcome that barrier of being, addicted to work, addicted to only doing that, and then not really being able to enjoy life and enjoy the process through it. And James and I were even talking about this before. And he was like, well, isn't there seasons, like seasons where you should grind really hard and seasons where maybe you don't as much? Yeah, absolutely. But my seasons are different than yours. Your seasons are unique and should be unique to you in the way that you want to do things. So when I ask you what you want, not only do I mean professionally, but I also mean personally. What do you want personally in your own life? What do you want relation-wise, with family, friends, whatever it might be? Who told you that you couldn't have both things? And so that was the biggest barrier that I had to overcome, because I almost felt guilty sometimes, because all I would do is want to work. All I would want to do is just build. And then I would be like, well, I can't even enjoy it because all I'm doing is working all the time. You know what I mean? I can't even have those experiences with people because all I'm doing is, I don't have any friends because in my city, because all I do is work. Like, what if I just want to go hang out with people on a Thursday night? Like, but I'm like, no, I got to grind because everyone tells me I need to grind. Like, oh, I haven't made $1 million a month yet, so all I have to do is work. That's the only thing I have to do. And we left our previous life to be able to have freedom. Many of you guys said that's what I want is freedom. But you're a slave to those mentalities. And it's just another job. It's just an expensive hobby in the end, right? So that was the journey for me. Now I want to get a little bit tactical because I told you guys that I wanted to give you something tangible that you could actually take home. So there's all the self-reflection. I want you guys to take that. I want you guys to think about that. But if you're taking notes, let's switch over to the tactical side of things because I want you guys to be inspired by what was said and then be able to take it and like, hey, I'm going to go do this in my business tomorrow, right? So what I've done today is known you and spoken directly to your soul, right? When you guys read those systems, you guys, or those quotes, you guys were like, wow, that's me, that's how I felt. Without me knowing any of you, having met a few of you in the past, but never personally chatting with every single one of you, and every single one of you raised your hand telling me that you identified with those statements and identified with what I was saying, right? As entrepreneurs, too often we default into delivering mediocre services, then blame poor results on external circumstances, never taking responsibility for genuinely knowing our customers. Now let that sink in a little bit. I'm going to read it again. As entrepreneurs, too often we default into delivering mediocre services, info, whatever you want to call it, then blaming poor results on external circumstances, never taking responsibility for genuinely knowing our customers. How many of you guys work in like lead gen and sales? It's the sales team fault. It's the leads suck. You know what I mean? It's always never taking responsibility for truly knowing our customer. Sure, it could be the leads. Sure, it could be the sales team, right? Could be the product that you're selling that's not good. Could be 100 different things, but never do we default to taking the responsibility ourselves. Is that fair to say? Instead of genuinely adding value, we settle for fake it until you make it, chasing money and retainers at any cost. Today, I want to show you a better, more authentic way. So let me practically guide you through exactly how to identify your starving crowd and speaking directly to their deepest needs, like I've done to you guys today. So, starting with identifying your crowd, and once again, this is getting a little bit more practical. I want to find a crowd that is absolutely desperate, right? We want to find someone that's desperate for a solution. We want to avoid vague targeting like business owners, right? Everyone knows that. We want to get specific. So we want to identify emotional problems keeping your prospects awake at night. And we want to get this right. Getting this right is foundational, and mistakes here is what's going to waste your time. And a lot of people skip this process. I can guarantee 99% of you guys don't do this process before working for a client or before even working on your own offer. Right? So this is going to help you with your clients. This is going to help you with your own offer, trying to get clients. It's going to help you with sales. It's going to help you with lead generation. And the first step is research platforms, right? And so this is where we go, before we even start working with a client, this is where we go to research people. And each of these platforms serves a different purpose. So we're going to go where our audience shares their struggles openly. You're going to look for Reddit, Facebook groups, niche forums, Quora, LinkedIn groups, YouTube comments, Amazon reviews. Depends on the niche you're in, right? So it's where your customers are speaking and where they're able to do it anonymously, because that's what you want to hear. You don't want to hear the people that do it publicly, right? You want to hear the people that are doing it anonymously. Step 2 is identify those emotional keywords, right? Because emotions are the stuff that in the end sell the most, right? I'm fat. I'm not getting cheap leads. My product isn't selling and I'm getting a low ROAS on Facebook, right? So you're looking for fear-based keywords, terrified, anxious, afraid, pain-focused keywords, stuck, overwhelmed, frustrated, desired outcome keywords, achieve, breakthrough, finally overcame. So example for maybe someone that works with people that suffer with public speaking. The fear of public speaking, terrified of presentation, stage fright. Step 3, find high engagement groups, right? Because we've all been in groups where they don't have that good of engagement. You want to find the ones that are actually proper high engagement groups. So seek groups with intense emotional engagement, especially if it's anonymous. Comments, detailed and you want the comments and detailed discussion on things. And then ideal scenarios, posts filled with passion and pain. And then avoid groups with low engagement. Step 4, record exact language that these prospects are using. Now, so if you're looking for clients for your own agency, then you're going to look for exact language that people that you would serve as a service are feeling. Or if you're signing on a client, say they help people with public speaking, you're taking the exact words that people that have fears of public speaking are actually saying, right? So you're looking for pain points. You're looking for the exact language. You're looking for past solutions that they've tried. You're looking for impact, and you're looking for the desired outcome. Those are the 5 things you're looking for. And then pay close attention to what keeps people awake at night, failed past solutions, effects on relationships, career, or self-image, perceived barriers, or desired outcomes. Step 5, validate them with micro-testing. Nobody does this. If 99% of people do the last thing, 0% do this. This is where you're actually validating those ideas. So instead of guessing and thinking like, ooh, that sounds like a really good offer, let me run that offer. You don't have to guess. This is a scientific method that 1 + 1 = 2 every time. So if you're able to take these micro tests, it will succeed at scale. So then you're doing simple group polls, if permitted. If you're on Facebook and they don't allow polls, questions hinting at your solution. Small 5 to 100 targeted ad campaign, where you're just kind of running some DM ads, seeing what the sentiment is, seeing what people are actually saying back to you. Landing page with email opt-in for free solutions. So if the option that you're thinking is good paid, it's also going to be good free, because the people will get the results from it, right? So clear success criteria is opt-in rates. If we're doing for a free solution, you want opt-in rates above 3%. You want to find 5 to 10 passionate responses or direct messages to you if you're posting in groups. You want follow-up email open rates to be at least 40%. If engagement is lukewarm, revisit your research. Your crowd isn't starving enough. Remember, the hungrier the crowd, the easier the sale. Every time for every offer. Doesn't matter if you're in a niche that's wildly overwhelmed. I work with info and coaches. Name a niche that's more competitive. You know what I mean? But our offer is pointed towards starving people. So people want it. They ask for it because I know the industry. Shifting to a more desperate audience can dramatically improve results without changing the product at all. 6, actively engage. Don't just lurk and ask probing questions. So here are some examples. What specifically scares you about public speaking, right? What's the worst part about dealing with this? What has this problem affected your career or your personal life? Oh, well, I didn't get the promotion I wanted because I can't speak in front of people and my boss really wants someone that's a leader. What solutions have you tried that didn't work? I've watched some YouTube videos, I've practiced in front of the mirror, and it just didn't really do anything for me. What could your life look like? What could your life look like if this problem was solved? Oh, I'd have the freedom I wanted. I'd be able to get the job that I wanted. I'd be able to move up in society the way that I wanted. Number 6, surveys and calls. Now this is optional. If 0% is doing the last, 0% is doing this. This is where you're actually taking short surveys and quick calls to yield that emotional gold that you're trying to dig out of them. You'll be surprised what people will share with you if you're not trying to sell them on anything. If you're just like, hey, I'm trying to build something for people in your industry. I'd like to bring some kind of solution to them. Do you mind if I just ask you a few questions and see what you think about it? I'd really like to understand more what you're going through. I have nothing to sell you. I mean, that's why people like Hormozy, right? For the longest time, he said, I got nothing to sell you. I got nothing to sell you. Just want to talk through everything and see what I can gauge from this conversation. Right? Listen for hidden motivations, triggers, and objections. Record those calls, with permission, of course, to catch these subtle cues later and to take those transcripts. Number 8, run test offers. So this is where you actually get validation, right? Because up to this point, it's all theory. Maybe it's a little bit more validated, maybe it's a little bit more studied, but we're running these test offers to actually see before we're actually pushing it out to the world. Because even if you guys think like, well, why don't I just do that in the first place? Well, it's because it's your reputation. If you guys push out an offer that doesn't work, you just look pathetic, right? And then when they see your next offer, they're like, his last offer sucked. So before building a full funnel, because that's costly, run some low budget, 50 to 100 tests, offering free guides, checklists, addressing specific pain points, right? For those, we want at least a 1.5 click-through rate, especially if it's free. If you're charging, something low like $1, 27 bucks or whatever, then you'll have a little bit of lower click-through rate. Opt-in rates, email open rates, and this will validate demand clearly before investing heavily into like a full solution, into building a full funnel for yourself, whether it's your own offer, your clients, whatever, because you guys all know it's costly to build a funnel, or at least costs time to build out all the GHL automations, whatever you want to call it. It takes time, right? So this validates it so that we can avoid all that work for nothing. So a practical example, there we go. Analyze their spending patterns. So starving crowds have already tried and paid for solutions, even if those failed. So analyze any existing spending to understand price sensitivity and perceived value, shortcomings of current solutions, how you can offer to fill that gap, and crowds who've previously spent money are far easier to convert again because they've already spent money once, especially if they're unsatisfied. So a practical example. We have a client, tax resolution niche. We were trying to find their desperate audience, right? Because obviously that is a need, but there's tons of these out there, right? There's tons of tax resolution companies that try and help people. So people describe themselves as drowning in IRS letters, paralyzed by back taxes, hopeless, considering bankruptcy, or even selling their home. So we had some triggered events identified: penalty letters, wage garnishment threats, hidden tax liaisons, and we looked for some of that search behavior. IRS payment plan help, stop tax levy immediately, tax debt forgiveness. So we did this for an actual client. This is an actual example for you guys. And then we look for some of their emotional language. So we mirrored the exact same emotional language that we found when we did the research. Obviously, this is an abridged version of what I told you guys to do. But we found things that were exact things people were saying. Stop the IRS nightmare. Finally sleep through the night without paying taxes, or without tax anxiety, I should say. And we structured our funnel, the 7-day IRS relief roadmap, directly around that emotional journey that people were feeling. Within 48 hours, we had 300 leads, 60% lower cost per lead than the industry average, because we work with a lot of tax people. Clear emotional, outperforming competitors focus on technical jargon, because that's what a lot of people were doing. They're like, hey, this is how I speak to a client because it's technical, right? But that's not how people think. So we actually targeted them based on what they were thinking, what they were feeling, what they were saying in Reddit, what they were saying in Quora. And we targeted their emotions rather than the technical jargon of like, let me help you with your taxes today. It's like, no, stop the IRS nightmare, because we know their language, we know the exact words that they use. So when they see that ad, they're immediately like, oh my gosh, I fall asleep every single night thinking that same thing. So 87% of the prospects said it felt like you understood exactly what I was going through. That's an exact quote. Varied based on the actual person, but that's an exact quote from one of the prospects. And in 3,000 ad spend, we made them 142,000 in revenue in just 30 days from completely changing their offer. Their offer stayed the same. The product, what they did, all stayed the same. It was the language that we changed. So key takeaways. You can replicate this in any niche, invest 60, 90 minutes in relevant groups, forums, review sections, identify this emotional language and recurring pain points, organize finding by frequency and emotional intensity. And then the final reminder, clearly identify specific emotional problems is essential. When you articulate your prospect's pain better than they do, they automatically assume that you have their solution. right? Because you said the words that they feel. When I said those things about you guys, when I said those fears that you guys had, the things that kept you up, the things that you wanted, you guys assumed that I knew you, even though I've lived an entirely different life than all of you, even though each one of you live an entirely different life than each other. But you assumed that I immediately knew the solution to your problem because I spoke your language, because I did the research ahead of time. And yeah, I do have some personal experience, and I have no personal experience in tax relief, so it's a little bit different. But you guys have the personal experience in the service that you provide for people, right? So you just have to start learning their language instead of learning your own language. Go ahead. So this systems allows you to take out all of the guessing work and systematically win every time for you and your clients. So that's for your own offers or for their offers. If you don't clearly identify your starving crowd, you're closing clients out of desperation, grasping at money, pretending to be an expert, but never truly healing their pain or even your own. So the reason I related it this way is because all of those things you want could easily be solved by some back work. All of those things that you guys are desiring could easily be solved by going the extra mile and understanding your client. When you know that you can't fulfill for a client, when you feel like you're faking it to making it, all of those things can help you. So you want to identify and let go of those old patterns, your insecurities, your fears, your vices that prevent the breakthrough. My mentor says this to me all the time. There is no resurrection without death. You can't resurrect if you haven't died, right? So if you want to be better, if you want to become a better person, if you want to leave a fear behind, if you want to leave a vice behind, if you want to accomplish those goals, remove those barriers, make it to that pool, there is no resurrection without first dying to those fears. And what do I mean by that? I mean physically detaching them from you. Yes, there is an emotional piece of it, that there is a side where you kind of just have to ignore it and kind of just keep pushing through. But there is another side where you have to embrace it. Embrace it and feel like, hey, this is actually part of me. This is what I'm feeling on a regular basis. This is what I'm feeling every single day. And so it's real, it exists. But I need to die to it so that I can then resurrect and actually get to those things that I wanted. Become an influence for people. Become wealthy. Buy that Porsche. Help the people that I want to help. Have the family, the life, and everything that I want to have. So there's another verse. Go ahead, sorry. If God is for us, who can be against us? You're called to something significantly greater than you guys have right now. But you must take action. You have to pick up your mat and walk and get rid of those insecurities and fear and anxiety. How many of you guys believe that this is true? That you guys are called to something greater than you are right now? Or is this it? You know what I mean? Is this it? Because this is it, then life is pretty meaningless. You know what I mean? There's not really any point in doing anything else. But we are all called to something greater. But in order to resurrect, we must die to those things first. So, you spend enough time waiting. Will you finally stand up and live the story that you're created for? And now this is where you guys get to choose. Are you going to be like the man at the well that waited for 38 years before someone came up and gave him a handout and told him, like, hey, this is what you need to do. You just need to do it. Like, just get up, grab your mat, and go. Or is it today the time where you choose, like, no, I'm going to be victorious. Like, this is what I want. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. And I absolutely know that I can get there and that I can be victorious. Because if you want that, it takes a lot of hard decisions. It's not just wanting it. Wanting it isn't enough. If it was just all about want, I'd have everything. You know what I mean? You guys would too. But it's about removing those barriers, those fears, those vices, those things that are holding you back. Because there are things, regardless of whether you guys think it or not, there are things that are holding you back from being able to accomplish. There is a reason that you're stuck. And it may be because you're listening to someone that you shouldn't be listening to. Because you're different than them. And so today is the day where you can decide, am I going to be a victor or am I just going to keep being a victim, keep being stuck where I am? That's all I got.
Zach.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.